You're a kid now. You're a beta test now. Welcome to episode 110. Wait, no, that's a lie. This is episode 109 of Nintendo Unleashed.
Wait, it's 11,
Wait,
111.
100.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. The listing is.
The script goes 109, 110, 109.
That's odd.
Okay.
Anyway, it's actually 111. My bad. That's nice. That's our first ever Nintendo Unleashed palindrome, which is very exciting.
You guys are really good at this.
And of course, I think I said this, but we are Blazecake's weekly Nintendo podcast. I'm here with Connor.
Hi.
And Tyler.
Hi.
We've got I'd say a jam-packed episode today. We've got tons of impressions for Splatoon 2 and Breath of the Wild. We're going to talk about Mario Run now on Android. We're going to talk about the new Sonic game, Bloodstained, and Yooka-Laylee, as well as a game Tyler, I know, is very excited for, thanks to region-free goodness on Switch. So first up, as always, let's talk about what we've been playing this week. Connor, I'll let you get started.
So, I played Zelda, but of course, we talk about that at the end.
Yeah.
Played more Chrono Clock. I'm almost done the last main heroine route, and I'm just going to do that for the review. I don't feel like doing the bonus routes. Played Love Live, of course. And I played this great new mobile game called hold on. Sorry, it's in katakana and really tiny. Bang Dream Girls Party something.
Amazing.
It's based off this multimedia project thing, which has an anime currently airing right now. But the game itself has a bunch of covers of anime music, like there's K-On! Music, Steins;Gate music, Anohana, Angel Beats. There's a bunch of stuff, so it's great, and everyone should play that. Unfortunately, it's only in Japan, but
well, I'll get that Japanese account. You know,
I already have a Japanese account.
I have Android, so I don't need a Japanese account.
Ooh,
That's true.
good stuff.
But you definitely needed to wait a while for Super Mario Run.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that. Anything else for you, Connor?
No, maybe Splatoon 2 tonight, depending on if my brother is not home.
Nice. Cool. And you, Tyler?
Breath of the Wild, next.
Very good. Very good. Okay. And of course, we're going to get into detail on that. For me, I've been playing also Breath of the Wild, lots of it, and Splatoon 2, which again, we're going to talk about later. I've also been playing a ton of The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth, which I bought just after last week's episode, and I've been adoring it. I bought Rebirth on Wii U. That was my first exposure to the series, and I'm enjoying the heck out of Afterbirth. The tabletop mode works great with the split Joy-Cons, and I pretty much love everything about this game, and I can see myself continuing to play it for many, many hours, hopefully. Of course, it's a game full of mysteries, so I'm still very curious about a lot of things, but games like that, I guess, are about learning. You know, you shouldn't expect to know everything right away. Anyway, moving into our Nintendo download for this week, it is a pretty jam-packed download. First up on the Switch eShop is Splatoon 2 Global Test Fire, of course, which is free to download. Has Been Heroes is coming March 28th. It is a $20, I believe it's actually at retail as well. And it's sort of like a roguelike strategy title. And apparently it's from the studio that developed the Trine games.
Mm-hmm.
There's also Neo Turf Masters on, of course, Neo Geo. I've heard fantastic things about this one. It is a golf game. I'm not necessarily one for golf games, but if you enjoy golf, maybe check it out.
Yeah, a lot of the Neo Geo games they've been releasing have been like the really classic ones. Like Neo Turf Masters is kind of up there as one of the better retro ones. Hopefully they bring Windjammers.
Oh, that would be
that was confirmed for PS4, I know. Yeah. But Windjammers could be pretty good on Switch.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, what's nice about, of course, these new versions have things like, you know, online leaderboards and some other new stuff like that. So they're not necessarily direct ports.
So, like, are Nintendo handhelds, if you count the Switch as a handheld, just, like, going to be known for upgraded, enhanced ports of other companies' games? Because, like, the Switch has been getting a lot of Neo Geo stuff, and the 3DS got a bunch of Sega Genesis 3D
It's true,
classics.
as well as the 3D classics. That's a good point.
So,
I mean, all things considered, that kind of reign was held by the PlayStation 3 for the longest time. Like a lot of enhanced ports came to PS3, especially with like the PS2 classics release and stuff. But like, I don't know, the fact that the Switch has the portability option to it, I think a lot more developers are interested in that.
In terms of bringing portable games, which we haven't really seen on handheld before, obviously aside from the original system, I really hope we get Game Boy Advance Virtual Console sooner than later. It was really a shame that the 3DS didn't really get that, aside from the Ambassador stuff.
Well, I mean, it was almost impossible to.
Right. Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, they ran like garbage.
Yeah, and also, I mean, all things considered, a lot of the Game Boy Advance games they gave with the Ambassador program. Well, I say a lot, but like 70% of them were really good. But then you had F-Zero, Maximum Velocity, like the worst F-Zero game,
and Mario Kart Super Circuit,
which is the worst Mario Kart game.
Yeah, Game Boy Advance not pretty well suited for 3D stuff, or rather 2D. No, I'm sorry, not 3D stuff. 2D stuff. Other stuff, not so much, maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're talking to the guy who owned and played way too much of Need for Speed Underground on the Game Boy Advance, which was all 3D and ran at like 2 FPS.
Hopefully, if they do GBA on the Switch, they do upgrade them like they're doing with Neo Geo stuff to make it so the link cable works as wireless.
Yeah.
Because a lot of like all the GBA games on Switch or Wii U, you can't do multiplayer with.
Yeah.
Even though they could have made it so like one person's on the TV with a Wii remote and one person's on the gamepad or something.
I'll be the first to say it. The Switch needs a Pokemon Stadium or Pokemon Battle Revolution game. I don't care if it's like a Pokemon Coliseum game. Like I don't care if it's a story-based one. But the Switch would be perfect to allow much more large-scale versus styles instead of just the duels between 3DS. Because that was like one of the biggest draws of playing Pokemon Stadium and PBR was that you could just battle your friends on a big screen with like no penalty whatsoever. Like you could do all your moves on the 3DS and it would on the DS and it would do all the stuff on the screen. Like we need that kind of game for Switch now. We don't need a Coliseum game. As much as people want a Coliseum game, we don't need it. That said, I mean,
is there anything else on Nintendo download? We kind of.
That's fine. Yeah, there's. I'll run through real quick. Then I'll let you continue. Sorry, Tyler. New Frontier Days, Founding Pioneers, also on Switch. Othello on Switch, of course, that's inevitable.
Yeah.
3DS retail download has Mario Sports Superstars, which is getting kind of mixed reviews. I don't think we're going to talk about that too much. Just know that it's not exactly a superstar. And a couple 3DS themes, and that's about it. Go on, Tyler. Sorry.
I mean, it's kind of funny that it's like, oh yeah, this was obviously going to happen, but did we ever get an Othello game on the Wii U, even though that was a part of like the launch trailer?
I think only Japan. Because you're right. I do remember that being like one of the core things in the launch trailer. I know that came to Japan. Not sure about.
Oh well.
Not sure about North America.
It had the great acting part in it, where the person just like tipped the gamepad and all the pieces fell off, and then the voice, "Hey!"
We also never got a Silent Scope game on the Wii U, which was sad.
Oh yeah, because they showed that whole zapper potential and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
They even had a nunchuck on the zapper, and I don't know how that would have worked because there's nowhere to plug it in.
Yeah. Probably would have plugged in from the bottom because there's that plug at the bottom. But yeah, the point being, there's a lot of games I want to see on Switch that would work well on Switch because of the multi-controller capability. I want to see a Borderlands game go on Switch because the Borderlands Enhanced Collection has split screen, but at the same time, it would just be perfect for
like local wireless.
Wireless.
Yeah.
To be able to like do that kind of stuff co-op would be awesome. I don't know I don't know if there are plans for Natsume to publish Wild Guns Reloaded on the Switch, but that would be a really good game for that too because of the 4-player co-op.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, we're already getting games that we'll talk about later. So I mean, sky's the limit now. Like we're already getting a pretty fantastic lineup.
Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, the only thing developers have to be careful for is power, because obviously you're not really going to be able to achieve PS4 level stuff, and that's fine. You know, I'm just saying developers will have to be conscious about that and how the game will run in handheld mode and that kind of thing.
I mean, granted, if Borderlands 2 and Borderlands the pre-sequel could run on a PS3.
Oh yeah, no, they can absolutely.
They can absolutely run on a Switch.
Same with Grand Theft Auto 5, you know, being on the PS3 and 360.
Yeah, like you shouldn't expect the
You shouldn't expect Red Dead 2. Yeah. Sadly.
Oh, God, Red Dead 2.
Yeah.
Oh God, forgot about it. Give on Switch, please.
Yeah.
I will take it everywhere.
Anyway, moving on, our first little topic here, Mario Run, finally on Android about 3 months later. And there was an update as well, which added some less than extravagant stuff. There were some new color Yoshis, so if you're a big Yoshi fan, I guess that's for you. Furthermore, it's kind of strange. There's now like a challenge you can do in the free version to unlock the full version of level 1-4. That doesn't seem like a huge draw necessarily, but I guess it's something.
Yeah.
We also learned, I believe, from an interview, I think it was with Kotaku, that Nintendo has said that they prefer the Mario Run model of paying for apps, and that Fire Emblem was more of an exception for them, which they didn't explicitly state it, but that would seem to imply that the Animal Crossing title will be similar pay model to Mario Run. Animal Crossing, to me, seems like a great fit for free-to-play, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's no official confirmation.
At the same time, Fire Emblem Heroes is done by the same people who did Final Fantasy Record Keeper.
That's true. I mean, yeah.
At the same time, I prefer Final Fantasy Record Keeper, but
yeah. So yeah, Tyler, do you think you're gonna try? Or actually, no, wait, Tyler, you're iOS, right?
Yeah, I'm iOS.
Nice, Connor. Are you gonna give this a shot? I know you weren't too receptive in our Twitter DM group.
No, my phone has basically room for 2 mobile games, and one of those is gonna always be Love Live, pretty much, and Mario Run does not feature covers of anime songs, so
that is true.
It does not have priority. If Mario sang some anime music,
if there were like rhythm-based levels,
you would download it immediately. If
I would pay.
With Mario singing Snow Halation.
Yeah, if Mario's like Snow Halation, then I would just download that. I'd pay for it.
Snow Halation.
I'd do everything with that game. I'd be on my phone forever. I don't know if you can buy coupon code or something for it to give to people, but I would find a way.
Just everyone owns it now.
I think I never really thought about it, but I think Connor would buy Super Mario Odyssey immediately if he found out that in New Donk City there was an idol group.
I didn't buy Tokyo Mirage Sessions and it was idols.
I mean, it's probably because you don't like RPGs.
I'll probably buy Odyssey as soon as I get a Switch anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I love Tokyo Mirage Sessions. It's fun.
It's a good game. I should beat that game someday.
I should continue playing it at some time.
But also, I don't know, are either of you two still playing Fire Emblem Heroes?
I'm not.
I am, but I just log on daily to get my orbs, and I'm like, okay, I have enough for a 5. It's basically the same thing that happened with Love Live eventually. I was like, okay, it's effectively become less about playing the game and more about me getting all of the waifus. Like,
fair enough.
That's all that Love Live became eventually, and I stopped playing Love Live eventually.
Have they been adding levels?
Yeah, they do like weekly rotations for new levels.
So like just that they haven't added any new story things?
Not yet. They add stuff in paralogs, I think, but I'm not too sure.
Okay. Because I thought it seemed like it was going to get boring, and then I noticed they haven't added any new stuff, so I deleted it to be able to have room for my game with the anime covers.
Yeah, I mean, Final Fantasy Record Keeper didn't start out good either. So like, I give Heroes a few months to like figure itself out before recommending it.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so that's Nintendo's, I guess, mobile update for the week. Moving on, we have some Sonic news. I forget which event this came out of. Was this out of South by Southwest?
It's
Yes.
South by Southwest.
Okay. So now the
Not Sonic Generations 2.
yeah, not Sonic Generations. So Sonic, what was once called Sonic 2017, is now Sonic Forces. That was, I guess, the main piece of news to come out of the event. We also saw some footage. It looks pretty clean, I gotta say. I never played Generations, but I mean, I played the 3DS version. That doesn't count.
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
The only cool thing about the 3DS version is that you get to fight the final boss of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle exclusively in it.
So yeah, I mean, it looks. Hey, it's coming to the Switch, so I may give it a shot. In that case, we also found out that Sonic Mania is delayed to summer, which I guess that's fine. I mean, that game looks great, so they may as well take their time to make it look.
Yeah, take the time because like all the people that are working on Sonic Mania have been handling the iOS ports of the Sonic games. Like they handled what is considered the definitive edition of Sonic CD, which is the iOS and Android port. They did the Sonic 1 and 2 ports to iOS as well.
Okay.
And Sonic 2 is known as the definitive as well because of the fact that they have a fully functioning Hidden Palace zone in it with the brand new boss. So I mean, like, yeah,
nice.
Take their time.
Yeah,
they did show off gameplay of
what's that
returning zone flying battery.
Yeah, I mean, I have very little experience with 2D Sonic. I do remember playing the iPod port of the Sonic 1, enjoying that a lot. And I'll probably pick this up. I mean, I'm not the world's biggest Sonic fan, but I enjoy his games from time to time. You know, I certainly don't follow all the news, but, you know, the classic games are certainly appealing to me.
His games.
So, I can say right now, Sonic Adventure for me, I have tons of nostalgia for that game. I know it's not very good, but I played that game to death when I was like 6 years old.
Yeah. The point being is that, like, Sonic Mania is basically everything people wanted from a 2D Sonic game because we got Sonic the Hedgehog 4, and I was like, everything you could possibly do wrong with the game. Like, have the camera really zoomed in, have really bad animation. And then Sonic Mania is just like, okay, here's all the really awesome animation, and also we're using widescreen format, so you can see.
It looks beautiful, and the music sounds great. The new area, that one, I forget what it's called, but it looks really nice. Studiopolis or something, right?
Studiopolis, yeah. There's Studiopolis. They also revealed a new zone too, along with that. I can't remember the name. I can find out real quick.
Okay.
It's something Saloon. Hold on.
Oh, I think I remember seeing that. I forget what it's called, but
Mirage Saloon.
Okay.
They so you have Mirage Saloon, Studiopolis, and they showed off
Green Hill.
Green Hill. They showed off at South by Southwest though that Flying Battery from Sonic 2 is returning. And it looks, I mean, it's one of those things where it's not just returning, they're remixing it. So like, they showed in gameplay that you could like go through piles of scrap of like Robotnik's robots and like level clear signs. Like there's just scrap metal in piles in the area. So it's like they're remixing the levels from scratch to incorporate new things. There's just a lot of good. There's just a lot of good about Sonic Mania. It's like I'm super excited for Sonic Forces because, like, if it's anything like Sonic Generations, I'm just fine with it being more of a good thing. But Sonic Mania is like, I will buy you. Yeah, I will buy you when you come out.
That is a guarantee. I hope that comes out early summer, just so I have plenty of time to soak it in. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's also one of those. It's also important to know that Sonic Mania is also it's not being directly influenced by Sega. So like it's being entirely controlled by the developers who are all particularly known for certain things. Like
Who's the guys in person?
Christian Whitehead is known for it. The other developers, I can't remember, like Hammerhead Studios, I can't remember the name, but like all of them have done work on Sonic in the past. One of the studios actually worked on a fan game that focused on making Sonic 2 in HD.
Oh wow!
Like the Sonic 2 HD fan project that became a dev studio that's working on Sonic Mania now. So I mean, I'm all for it. There's a pedigree to these people that is important to remember.
Now,
Like,
if only the reason Nintendo shut down AM2R was because they hired the guy to make a new Metroid game.
You never know. It could be happening.
I mean, I doubt it, but I mean, we experienced that with Capcom, who shut down the Resident Evil 2 remake project that some fans were making, and then they were like, "Hey, yeah, come to our studio so you can help us figure out how to remake Resident Evil 2." So, okay, sure, let's do it.
And that's been happening a lot with visual novel translations, where
That's true.
they send cease and desist to the translation teams, but then hire the translation teams to do an official release.
Yeah, isn't that what happened with Sekai Project?
I don't think they sent a cease and desist out, but
they've
hired.
Yeah.
Like, I think Grisaio, the first one was fully translated, and the second one they were working on. But then when Sekai Project got the rights to it, they hired the guy who did the first one. He redid the first one, and then did the second, and I think he's almost on the third.
Yeah. I can't remember what other examples of that happened.
He's doing that right now with
Actually, no, I do remember. I think Earthbound Beginnings uses a fan translation.
That would be funny.
Anyway, moving on. There's so many Switch games. Bloodstained. I forget what the subtitle is. I feel like there's a subtitle though.
Ritual of the Night.
There you go.
Rotten.
That is the. Oh, sorry. Go on.
It's just a joke on the fact that people call Castlevania Symphony of the Night Rotten. This is Bloodstained Rotten.
That's good. So this is essentially, I think that this was Kickstarter, right? This was a
Kickstarter game, yeah.
Right. So essentially, Castlevania inspired Castlevania game. Well, it's not a Castlevania game, but you get what I mean. And so now we know it is no longer coming to Wii U, but it is coming to Switch, and this has definitely been a big trend for indie games. I know this happened with Stardew Valley. Obviously, this happened with Yooka-Laylee, and this is seems like another logical decision. Is this game? I think this is a 2018 game, though, right? I feel like this one's not coming so soon.
Really late 2017 or early 2018.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Yeah, so this one makes a lot of sense for Wii U to.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, granted, the Switch runs on a more recent hardware setup of NVIDIA hardware. So, I mean, it's probably a lot easier to port source projects over.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that if you're using an NVIDIA-based computer to develop this game, then it's probably a little bit easier to port it to an NVIDIA-based console. That's why a lot of consoles actually use NVIDIA hardware. I think the PS4 actually has NVIDIA hardware in it. I don't know about the Xbox One.
I couldn't tell you. I'm no hardware junkie.
Yeah.
Anyway, are you guys looking forward to this game? I am not a huge Castlevania player. The only one I've actually played is on 3DS. The whatever it's called, Shadow Mirror of Fate, right? And that was interesting. I mean, it was certainly a non-traditional Castlevania.
Yeah, you're better off sticking with Igavania games. So, Portrait of Ruin, Aria of Sorrow, Dawn of Sorrow, Symphony of the Night.
Right.
Like Igavania games are basically what revitalized Castlevania. And that's what Bloodstained is basically. It's an Igavania game. A lot of people consider it. It's one of those games that kind of divided itself from the concept of Metroidvania and became its own subgenre.
Yeah.
And that's why it's called a Megalovania game. But usually it's considered Metroidvania at its core. But yeah, I'm not gonna buy Bloodstained off the bat because I've already been burned pretty hard. So
Kickstarter wise.
yeah, I've been burned pretty hard with the first game that I finally got from Kickstarters because I'm still waiting on Chasm, which is the first game I backed. Actually, no, it's the second game I backed because Mighty Number 9 was the first one. Yeah, I'm still waiting on Chasm, which should be coming out this year, and Ukulele's coming out in 10 days. So
there's that.
Yeah.
Hopefully that game's good. We'll see.
Yeah, I switched my version from Wii U to PC, so I was able to play the toy box for the first time, and I'm like, give more, please.
I'm happy to know the Foundation feels good.
To be fair, though, at least like with Mighty Number 9, they just kind of stopped updating publicly after a while, and then
it just came out.
They like launched another Kickstarter for another game plus an anime.
No, you're not telling the whole story. I explained what had happened on a previous PlayStation Point episode. What happened was the Kickstarter came out, development started going slowly, and like it got delayed, and then the Red Ash Kickstarter happened, which was also a Kickstarter for the anime, but they got really desperate when they weren't getting enough money for the Red Ash game, that they released a prototype that reused assets from Mighty Number 9, and then they stopped the Indiegogo campaign, and we're just like, oh yeah, we have it handled now. A very nice publisher helped us with it, so it's going to happen regardless. But the anime got bad, I'm pretty sure. So both things are going to be happening eventually, but we have no word on Red Ash at all. And then a Kickstarter happened for I don't even know. Basically, we only got the Mighty Number 9 game, but we're supposed to be expecting a CG cartoon, a Red Ash game, a Red Ash anime, and I don't even. Yeah, a board game. That's it. But in the meantime, 3 games from Concept came out. We got Azure Striker Gunvolt, Mighty Gunvolt, and Azure Striker Gunvolt 2 before we even got Mighty Number 9. It's like, what happened? Like, there's so much we don't know, but whatever happened, and
it just feels so disingenuous.
Yeah, Mighty Number 9 is the worst game of 2016.
Yeah, whereas I don't remember what the team is behind Bloodstain, what they're called.
I think it's. I don't know if it's. I can actually look. I'm curious now. I think it might be Concept as well.
I don't think it's Concept.
I'll check. Inti Creates.
Okay, so I think they're a bigger studio, aren't they?
Inti Creates was with Concept on developing Mighty Number 9. So they're mostly known for the Mega Man 9, Mighty Gunvolt, Bloodstained, the Azure Striker Gunvolt games, Mega Man 0 games, a bunch of stuff. If you look up their list of games that they've helped with, or at least developed, like they've helped with the Galgun games. So like they're all over the place. They did Mega Man 9 and 10 with Capcom. They're like, I think they do a lot of self-publishing.
Blaster Master 0?
I don't know, actually. I'm going to check that too.
Okay, but anyway, Inti Create and Platonic have been open like pretty much since their Kickstarters happened, and they've been giving. I think Bloodstain's kind of slowed down a bit, but both of them have been giving frequent updates.
Yeah, Inti Create's helped with it too.
Okay, and
along with Genie Hero.
And both have had positively received demos, whereas Mighty Number 9's demo was kind of met with disappointment I think it was at the PAX before it came out.
Yeah. Basically, basically Mighty Number 9 was like watching a train wreck in slow motion. You know what's gonna happen,
Yeah.
and you can't look
So
away because he
I'd
backed it.
say so far, Bloodstained and Ukulele look like they're gonna be shaping into much better games.
Yeah.
Plus, Ukulele has, I think, most of the team that worked on Banjo-Kazooie.
They have most of it and a little bit of Conker's Bad Fur Day team.
Yeah, and Igarashi actually is a
He's
game
directing
designer.
Igarashi is directing the whole team about it too.
Yeah, whereas Inafune isn't really a game designer.
Yeah.
I think he's an artist.
And he kind of like owns some properties or something.
The thing about Igarashi is that unlike Inafune, Igarashi knows exactly what characters should do and what they need to play like. When the first development trailer came out and they were just showing off basic movement mechanics, like you could listen to Igarashi going like, there should be a sidestep going to this when they turn around. Like it shouldn't be instant. They should have a natural turn. Like he was talking as if he were able to visually see how the game should play out. So it was interesting to see Igarashi being able to like go step by step about his design philosophy. And you could actually see the gears turning in his head. It's really intriguing to listen to him talk about the game too, because he has such a vivid concept in his mind of what the game should be, and it seems like it's panning out very well.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure I'll give it a shot, assuming it's good. Yeah. I didn't back it, but
yeah, I didn't back it either, but I'll definitely give it a look.
Mm-hmm. Next up, just a quick bit of news. We had mentioned Ukulele earlier, and now we know that JonTron, who once had a brief cameo in the game, is being cut. Now, I don't know if we've talked about this on the show, but JonTron has definitely had some interesting activity on the internet in the past week or so.
Interesting is putting it very, very lightly.
Yeah.
He went on a podcast, and a lot of bad news came to light about his outlook on human culture and decency. Basically, Platonic is saving face in this because you don't want to be considered sided with white supremacists. It's
right. It's
not exactly
not a good look.
Yeah. So they cut him from the game. Granted, I mean, it seems like a decision from multiple sides, if anything, because it seems like JonTron was okay with it, even if he is disappointed about the fact.
Right.
Look, I bought Ukulele for Ukulele, not for JonTron.
Mm-hmm.
That's the end. That's the end point I'm putting here.
I didn't even know JonTron was in it.
I kind of knew because
he was removed.
I kind of knew he was in it because I'm pretty sure because if it isn't going to be completely obvious, his cameo was probably going to be the voice of a character. Because the way that Ukulele is designed is the same way that Banjo-Kazooie was designed, where all the characters have voices, but they're segmented.
Right. It's like yeah, so you probably would barely even be able to tell it was him, honestly.
Unless he spoke an X.
Yeah, which he probably would. So now they'll just probably have to find someone to replace that, or use an existing voice or something. Who knows?
Grant Kirkhope.
Yeah.
obviously, Grant Kirkhope is going to be the replacement. Also, I heard that a YouTuber, Nate Wants to Battle, is going to be voicing in a game soon.
Oh, nice.
I actually need to check.
I'm vaguely familiar, I must say.
I'm going to check what he's
he does
voicing in.
covers sometimes.
Yeah, I'm going to actually check what he's voicing. Ethan Sharp? Yeah. He voiced Chad in Read Only Memories. 2064 Read Only Memories. I don't know if he's going to be in anything else currently, but I can look. He did say that he was in something very recently.
Is Is it an anime? I know there was some YouTuber that got into an anime dub recently. I forget who though.
Yeah, Nathan Sharp said he was working at Funimation last year.
Yeah,
So, I mean-
Funimation's had him and a couple other people at
Yeah.
events as guests.
Oh, here we go. He's voicing Heinz in Atelier Felice.
Oh.
So yeah, he did that. He's won that. So it's really cool to see YouTubers that we're very familiar with doing game voices because we're familiar with that. Like Jim Sterling has been doing voices for a couple characters. I think he did it for 2064 Read Only Memories, but he's also in talks with Oddworld for the new Abe for the new game.
Good.
So he might be doing voice work for Oddworld, the new
Good.
Oddworld game, which is awesome. Yeah, it's just I don't know. This is one of those things where it's not going to affect the game, and at the same time, if really your only express purpose was to hear JonTron in a game, and that's the only reason you bought it, buy something else. You know,
Right.
Playing a game for one specific actor is okay in some instances, but for a collectathon game, it's kind of petty.
Yeah, like I'd say if you were playing, say, Uncharted for Nolan North, then
Yeah,
that's
that makes
one
sense.
thing. Because
Nolan North does really well with Nathan.
yeah, that like I don't think anyone else could really do Nathan Drake the way he does. Well, obviously the way he does, no, but I don't think anyone else could pull off the same character.
Yeah.
Whereas
But I mean, if you're gonna buy,
side character doing
yeah,
is not
it's-
a reason to buy a game.
yeah, it's also the point I was gonna bring is that, like, buying a game based on a voice actor's pedigree is fine in some instances, but other times it's not really. If you bought all the Uncharted games because Nolan North does Nathan Drake really well, then if you were gonna buy Destiny because Nolan North voices the Ghost, I need to tell you something. It's not a good idea if you're not a fan of grindy RPGs.
Mm-hmm.
I love Destiny. I love Destiny from the bottom of my heart, but if you're going from Uncharted to Destiny, you're in for a rude awakening.
I think Troy Baker was in a bunch of random licensed like Ben 10 stuff.
Oh yeah.
So
if you bought it for The Last of Us for Troy Baker or like Arkham Knight or something, Bioshock Infinite, but you're buying Ben 10 because of it, you're in. I need to sit down and talk with you, friends.
like sure, be a fan of voice actors, but don't buy a game just for them.
Yeah. I did it unintentionally for about a year. I've already explained that for like a year, I kept accidentally buying games that had Matt Mercer in them. Like, I would just buy a game, and I would be like, huh, this voice sounds... God, it's Matt Mercer! Son of a...
Like,
Okay,
I'll watch
fine.
anime for specific voice actors, but I think that's a little different.
I mean...
Like...
TV shows are different.
Yeah, like if I saw it was a genre I don't like, I'm not going to watch it no matter how much I like the actor.
At the same time, you've already voiced your concern because you're like familiar with an anime seiyuu because of a certain tone of voice or how they interpret a character, and seeing them do the complete opposite in a different anime throws you off. I think that was you or Zoe that had that problem. I can't remember who it was. I think it was you.
Yeah, there was one character I can think of recently that had that issue.
Yeah.
Then there was one where I watched a show and it feels like the character or the voice actor is typecast specifically for that character.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Because the character was like the exact same as another character he previously voiced. And I happened to be watching both shows at the same time and it got kind of confusing.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was a little off topic. So
voice actors, they're fun.
Something we should have had earlier, but I just remembered. There's currently a water festival event in Pokemon Go. And if you log into Pokemon Go, you get a Magikarp hat. But also, they've added the first shiny Pokemon, which is Magikarp. So, and I have seen shiny Gyarados as well. I'm assuming you just get, I think it's 100 candy for Magikarp for some stupid reason.
It's
So,
it's 400 candy to evolve Magikarp to Gyarados.
oh my god. So I'm assuming you just need 400 Magikarp candy and then you use it on the shiny to get a shiny Gyarados. You don't
Yeah,
need
catching a
400
Magikarp gets
shiny
you-
Magikarp candy.
Catching a Magikarp gets you 3 candy, and transferring it is another candy. So you have to catch like 100 Magikarp to evolve Gyarados. Yeah. I need to log in to Pokemon Go. I have my phone right here. I'm actually going to do that.
I installed it, but anyway, now it's what Tyler's been really happy for.
Oh yeah. They announced the second Densetsu collection for Nintendo Switch, which means that it's effectively going to be the first time ever that North American players can play Second Densetsu 3 on a North American console. Because Second Densetsu 3, or what's known as the sequel to Secret of Mana, never came out in the West. It had fan translations and stuff, and you can get reproduction cards for Super Nintendo, but it only came out on Super Famicom. So this is going to be the first time that you can play Second Densetsu 3 on a North American console due to the Switch being region free. So, yay!
It's exciting. And do we have an idea of when this is launching in Japan?
I think pretty soon. Actually, I can check.
Hopefully, it gets an English translation as well.
I mean, it would be kind of weird if, well, not really weird. That's a bad way of putting it. It'd be interesting to see that the first 2 Second Densetsu games don't have an English form in it, because we got Secret Mana and we got the original Second Densetsu, but we just called it Final Fantasy Adventure here because people don't like new IPs, and Final Fantasy was selling a ton in the West. So I mean, it's fair. It's releasing in Japan on June 1st, and it's going to cost about $40.
Gotcha.
So 3 games.
3 games, right? And they all have co-op?
Yeah, they all have. It's actually going to be the first time that Second Densetsu 3 is going to have 3-player co-op officially, because the original Super Famicom release only had 2-player co-op. So this is going to be the first time that Second Densetsu 3 is going to have.
Awesome.
Yeah. Granted, there seems to be no word on if it's going to have online. It is going to. It's going to feature a quick save option for all 3 of the Second Densetsu games. It's going to have a graphic mode that allows you to switch between the 4 different graphic types of Final Fantasy Adventure, because they did do a re-release in Japan recently. So you're going to be able to switch between the Game Boy Color versions, I think. I'm not too sure on that. But they're also going to have a music mode that lets you listen to all the soundtracks of the original 3 games on your home screen on the Switch, which is really good because Second Densetsu 3's soundtrack is sweet.
Which is even better because the Switch has no menu music.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, I'm excited because I love Secret of Mana. And Second Densetsu 3 is probably one of the best Super Nintendo RPGs. I mean, it's going to be really sad if it doesn't have online, but that just gives us reason to do a meetup, right? To play
That's true. Just for that.
Yeah.
It's perfect, guys.
We can meet up in Seattle, Washington. Not during PAX, just at a random point in Seattle. Have some crab and then play Second Densetsu for 20 hours.
Can't wait.
All right. So next up, I'm going to provide some brief-ish impressions, on my time with the Splatoon 2 test fire. Now, I've only gotten to do 1 round so far, but it was the full round, and it was the first round. And I'll talk about what I liked, what I didn't, that kind of thing. So the first thing I want to address is that a lot of folks I saw on Twitter said they were having connection issues. And I just want to put this out right now. I had none of those. Obviously, those issues are unfortunate, but let's hope that the reason they're having, this test fire so they can get all that sorted out by the summer launch. Anyway.
I mean, that's also a server stress test. So there's tens of thousands of people trying to get in at once.
Right. No, it's definitely to be expected. But yeah, just a disclaimer that I had none of those issues. So I played with the Pro Controller on the TV for the whole time with motion controls on. I love the motion controls. And they translated very well to the Pro Controller. I've played, I think, at least 200 hours of the original.
Just 200?
I think so.
Are you sure about that? Because that was like your entire 2015 was Splatoon.
It might have been more than it probably was. I haven't checked in a long time. But I definitely played a lot of that game in summer 2015, pretty much every day.
I'm gonna check my daily log actually.
And so I use the Splat Dualies, of course, because I'm already familiar with the other 3 weapon types that are available. And wow, they're really, really good for a few reasons. So the only tough part for me was normally I would use the standard splatter shot, or at least that weapon category in the original, and I would commonly jump while shooting to sort of evade shots. But you can't do that anymore using the dualies, because the jump button is like your roll button. So there were a number of times where I tried to jump it out, ended up doing my roll. But here's the thing about the roll. It's really good. So in the original game, my biggest difficulty was dodging enemy fire. Obviously, it's really not easy, at least in my opinion. But with the Splat Dualies, that becomes so easy. With the tap of a button, not only can you quickly dodge out of the way, but you can quickly aim back at them and fire focus shot at them for about a second. And I racked up so many satisfying kills with that. And what's nice is you can't just do one roll. Like, you could do a roll forward and to the right and then forward and to the left and then get them. There was actually a time where there was a roller coming at me and they were very close and I rolled back and shot them. So it's useful for escaping rollers as well. It's just such a nice feature. They don't have great range, but obviously there are going to be many different versions of them. I'm definitely going to want a version with a bit more range than what these guys had. All around, great. I mean, now the one thing I couldn't really tell a big difference in terms of visuals, but I was playing on the TV. I imagine, and during tonight's the next session, which is about 5 hours from when we're recording this, I'll play in handheld mode just to see how it looks on there. I've heard that it's tough to do gyro in handheld mode, which makes sense. So I may end up turning off gyro for handheld, or just playing in tabletop so I can use the Pro Controller and have gyro that way. What I will say, something I was skeptical about, but I think works incredibly well, is the new map system. So now you hold X, which was actually you can just tap X, which was previously the jump button to access the map, and it's the same as the original in that it shows you, the live ink levels on the map. So you can see sort of who has more control, or at least you can guess. Now, in terms of teleporting to teammates, there are a couple ways you can do that. First, if you have gyro on, you can sort of tilt you have like a cursor, and you can tilt it at a player and press A, which I'm not a big fan of that. What I prefer to do is you can hold down one of the 3 D-pad directions and then press A, or warp to that person. And for me, again, what I was concerned about is, I was so used to doing that on the touchscreen. But for me personally, most of my teleports happen from spawn, and honestly, it's no detriment. Like, it works perfectly well. I got used to it very quickly. And it's great. So impressions, it's great. I mean, it feels a lot like more of the same. Oh, the specials were fantastic. I love the jetpack. I love the, it's called the curling bomb. It's sort of like the Seeker from the original game, but it doesn't have homing and it bounces off walls. So it's actually really useful. In my opinion, maybe even better than the Seeker. Because that bouncing off walls thing is fantastic. I used the jetpack. I forget what it's called, but that was very nice as well. I felt like Farah. And as for my hopes for the final game, so one, I'll be playing 5 more hours of this test fire. I'll provide more impressions next week. I'll try out all the weapons and all modes and stuff. But for the final game, a couple things. One, I hope they introduce at least 2 more ranked modes in addition to keeping all the old ones, just to have more diverse gameplay. And the other 2 are sort of minor tweaks, which if they don't get, I'll be really disappointed. One is having more than 2 maps at a time for 4 hours. Even if it's 2 maps for 1 hour, or like 3 maps for 2 hours, that would be a huge improvement. 2 maps for 4 hours was just awful. I can't find anyone who enjoyed that. I mean, I'm sure there's someone out there, but to me, it just felt like such a counterintuitive system. I get what they wanted to go for was have people, practice on maps so they can get really good at them. But I think if people wanted to do that, they would just do private battles and pick that map every time.
They should do, like, if they don't want to have it, so you just choose what map you want and then it randomly shuffles. They should have, like, the Mario Kart 8 formula.
Yeah.
Where there's, like, 2 maps or something and random, and you pick which of those 2 you'd rather have, and then it shuffles.
I wouldn't mind Call of Duty style.
Yeah, voting.
Where you have 2 maps, you have 2 maps and game types that are randomly chosen from a pool, and if nobody likes them, then you can click the random option.
Yeah,
It's fine.
I mean,
Yeah. Also, Connor, I sent you a picture of this Magikarp hat.
it's so good.
It's why I'm wearing it forever, but why? Yeah, I'm pretty excited for Splatoon 2. It's one of the reasons I'm getting a Switch, as well as the second copy of Breath of the Wild.
Also, fun fact from Wario64. Apparently, Splatoon 2 on a mobile hotspot used only, I think, is this 100 megabytes of data for 45 minutes, lag free, which sounds pretty great.
Pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good data transference.
Just pointing that out.
Considering packet upkeep, it's pretty good.
Yeah. And the other things, so like I said, obviously the map systems. I mean, I can give Nintendo a little leeway for Splatoon because it was their first shooter, but I really hope they tweak that in this new game. Additionally, I hope I'm less optimistic about this, but I really hope you can just change weapons in a public lobby instead of having to back out. You could do that in your private lobbies and your squad lobbies, but you couldn't in your public. I really hope they change that. For me, that's less of a big deal than the maps. The maps for me are much more important, but we'll have to wait and see. So that's it for me for Splatoon 2.
Awesome.
Anyway, I think it's Zelda time. That's right.
Oh boy.
Tyler, I think we'll let you start because you probably have a lot more to say than us at this point.
How much playtime do you guys have in Zelda?
I have 60 hours.
I have no idea.
I may or may not be edging on 100 hours.
That's fine. I know someone on Twitter who has, I think, like 150. So you're not. Certainly, that's a lot of hours, and I wish I had that much time. But
all things considered, first things first. Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, over 5 years, has 200 hours.
Oh wow.
I mean, Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate also has like 100 hours in it.
Mm-hmm.
But
so,
this game has been
out for a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not okay. I shouldn't be.
It's really good.
Over 3 years, I have 300 hours in Destiny. This is not fine. Help. Yeah. It's my favorite Zelda game. Because I've already explained in a lot of ways that Ocarina of Time 3D is like my least favorite Zelda game of all time. I'd explain in further detail, but it's really hard for me to explain why Ocarina of Time 3D is the worst thing ever. But I mean, Breath of the Wild is one of those things where it's like, despite all of your flaws, I still think you're fantastic. I'm gonna go buy you dinner afterwards. It's there's just everything like everything I wanted from open world games I get in Breath of the Wild. Skyrim is the one thing I can compare easily, because Skyrim is the open world game I love to hate. The world is boring. There's nothing to do in it. The quest lines suck. It's like the only way I could manage to enjoy Skyrim is after downloading like 80 plus mods and plugging them in, so that they work. No, not Thomas the Tank Engine. I did like I didn't do like satire mods. I wanted to actually improve the
the game.
Yeah, like I wanted.
Thomas the Tank Engine would improve the game though.
It's true. It's true. But yeah, I just wanted to do a bunch of things in Skyrim that like. Because the game deserves better. It deserves better than the special edition they released. So I put on like a bunch of graphical enhancement mods, and I did a bunch of gameplay improvement mods. I improved the perk system, the werewolf perk system, the spell system. I improved all the stuff that Skyrim needed to do better in order to make it good as a game. And then I played Breath of the Wild. And it's like, okay, after like an hour and a half, go do whatever.
Right.
Like after you jump off that cliff, do whatever. You have a goal, but there's no beeline that you need to do to get to that goal.
Absolutely.
And they always pepper things throughout the world that you can do as long as you
it's full. I mean, if you look around, there are going to be things to do, and if you've done everything in an area, walk 50 feet and bam, here's a whole other.
There's another thing, yeah. Like they consistently give you things to do.
Now, here's sorry to interrupt you, but a quick question: how early do you think Korok seeds were added in development? Because I feel like the game would feel a lot more empty without them.
Uh, I have a feeling that they probably implemented them long after the world design was finished,
Mhm.
because
They certainly feel. I don't want to say like an afterthought, but
they're
I mean,
not
I
they're not an
enjoy them.
afterthought.
Yeah.
They're not an afterthought. They're more of a I don't know what to explain them as. They're more of a substance, I'd say,
Right.
of complexity.
That's true. I mean, I'm not knocking collectibles. Obviously, there are 900 of them, which is
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, 900 Korok seeds, and I have no idea what they do, but I'm still gonna get all 900 of them at some point.
Oh, if you don't know, I don't want to tell you, but it's interesting.
Do you
Yeah,
mean
I don't.
like what happens when you get them all, or just what you use them?
What they do in general.
for?
No, I know what they do.
Okay.
I just don't know what happens when you get all of them.
Okay, got it. We will not say, but we know.
So, like, I'm recording an LP of Breath of the Wild, by the way. I'm doing a cinematic LP, which is I edit the LP to represent it in a TV or in a movie style format. So I remove as much of the UI elements as I possibly can.
Very nice. Pro mode, I hope.
Yeah, pro mode, absolutely. And I disabled the shrine detector.
Mhm.
Point being, the game is like 100% better when you don't have any UI elements to depend on.
Oh, totally.
Because like you can have the shrine detector on, and that's fine. Like I actually implore people use it if they're specifically looking for certain things. Like that is a fantastic thing to do.
Mhm.
It's
I
just
actually
about
find
that.
it less helpful than just walking around.
Yeah, when you upgrade the scanner to let you just search for specific things, like
Right, it's
enemies
really helpful.
or items, it's the best thing.
Mhm.
But the shrine detector is super useful, except the first time you can actually use it for useful things. In Dueling Peaks, there's a shrine at the top of a mountain,
Right.
and directly below it, in the valley near the stream, there's
Mhm.
another one. But the shrine detector always biases the one higher, so it's moderately annoying because it's closer technically.
Yeah.
But like
Speaking.
that's why you turn the shrine detector off, is because it's not useful when you first get it. Towards
Right.
the mid game to late game, that's when it's super useful.
Yeah, especially if there's some shrines you're having trouble tracking down. Let's say you already have 100 of them.
Yeah,
So it's
there's like
like
120.
Yeah. You mentioned. Oh, sorry, Connor. Go ahead.
I have 30, and I still have trouble finding more.
I have 60.
Nice. I think I'm at like 32.
Yeah.
I've found 2 though that I haven't done because they're major tests
Oh,
of
God.
strength, and I can't do those yet.
Yeah.
I've tried a couple times, but no, I can do the other.
Yeah.
I-
Minor and
moderate
moderate.
modest.
I think minor.
Minor.
Yeah.
Okay.
I absolutely adore the diversity in shrines. Like
Yes.
I mean, I'll give it a pass on the test of strength shrines, because those are kind of givens. You get like one or two in a region at most. So like
Mhm.
maybe there's 20 or something
Yeah.
in the entire game. Like that's the most. My favorite shrines though are the ones where you just go to a certain place and it's like this entire thing is the trial. Like Eventide Island is one.
Mhm. Oh yeah, absolutely. And there are some. I don't want to. Look, if you're listening to this episode, you don't
You're
care
gonna be
about
getting
Zelda
spoilers.
spoilers. I'm sorry. There are labyrinths in the game,
Yeah, there are labyrinths that are
and
super
it's
fun.
totally badass.
Yeah.
I found
There-
one, and I spent a good 30 minutes exploring it, and it was totally worth it.
Yeah. I didn't, because Rivali's Gale trivializes everything.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay, and now I'm assuming you can fly or something.
It basically makes like it shoots you straight up in the air, and
Okay.
you have this kind of gale wind you can keep using your sailcloth on.
Yeah.
Okay, very nice.
It-
So
it-
it essentially allows you to rocket up into the.
Yeah, it allows you to skip entire puzzles if you want.
Oh wow! In
Like,
shrine. Now that I'm thinking about it,
No,
some
it
shrines, all
actually
you can do-
disables all your abilities in shrines. If
Yeah,
you're in a
okay.
shrine, it disables all of them. But if you're in the open world,
You can-
or more specifically,
and you can do it in dungeons, right?
Divine Beast dungeons, yes,
Yeah.
you can. It trivializes all the puzzles.
Yeah, that's. I'm gonna have
Like
to go to that.
I had Rivali's Gale, and I did the Gerudo dungeon,
Mhm.
and I skipped like half the dungeon.
Well, I mean, I'm not actually sure how you're supposed to do some of those jumps because a lot of them I kind of cheat.
When I do
cheated
when I
with my
when I do the
jumping.
LP, I'm specifically going to do the Rito dungeon last.
Yeah, I'm
because
thinking that
I want to do the dungeons legit. Because I felt super bad when I was like, apparently I sequence broke because this should be on and I should have an electrical current somehow. But fuck it, Rivali's Gale.
Yeah. And something is okay. So I know you can do the dungeons in any order. Do you guys know if there is an intended order, or is there no intended order?
I kind of
Mipha's Grace should be done. Mipha's Grace should be done either first or third.
Okay.
The Gerudo dungeon should be done either second or last.
Okay.
The Goron dungeon should be done first.
Really? Only first?
Yeah,
Okay.
it should be done first.
Okay.
Oops.
Yeah, I've been
because it gives you the ability that is like super good for blocking really powerful attacks.
Oh, sorry. Question about Mipha's Grace. I have it turned off because it seems wildly overpowered. It just heals you.
No, it works. It works the same way as a fairy.
Yeah,
Okay.
It fully heals you and gives you.
It heals you and gives you. It gives you
Okay.
8. It gives you 8 temporary hearts.
Now, it
Or
has
is it
limited. It has limited uses, right? It's
Uh,
not like,
You get
works-
one revive every 20 minutes.
okay, so that's interesting. Nice.
Every ability has a timer. The problem with Rivali's Gale is you get to use it 3 times and then it's on a cooldown for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You can just wait in a dungeon you're having trouble with in a room for 5 minutes to get Rivali's Gale, and then you can skip the room.
Oh, sorry about the dog.
Your dog apparently doesn't like Rivali's Gale.
So
He's my
if you're
spice.
looking to make dungeons interesting and challenging dungeons, get Rivali's Gale last. If
Mhm.
you don't care about the dungeons and you want to make exploring the world and finding things easier, do Rivali's Gale first.
Right, or just pledge not to use it in dungeons.
Yeah, I might actually toggle off Rivali's Gale
Mhm.
because it's
I
sad.
used it for this one tower that,
Oh yeah, some towers are super good with Rivali's Gale.
like, it's the military training camp one.
Oh, I love that one.
Oh yeah.
That one's so tough. I love it.
I used Rivali's Gale on the Wasteland Tower.
Oh, that one's good.
Yeah,
I did
I-
that one yesterday.
Is
Yeah,
that
that
the
one's-
electric one?
No, that's the one with the bog surrounding it.
And it has a bunch of electric jellies or choo-choos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. Okay. And a bunch of well, I guess the enemies vary, but I got a bunch of like Lizalfos there.
I gave up
isn't there a
climbing it 'cause
tower?
I almost made it to the top, and then
There's that tower with
Wizrobe.
there's that tower with all the electric whiz ropes. Yeah,
Oh wait, those are. I thought those were Poes.
no, those are whiz ropes.
Oh, I've also, okay. Well, there you go. There you have it.
I haven't seen a Poe actually. That's
Oh,
interesting.
yeah, I assume those guys were Poes because they kind of look similar, but fair enough.
Yeah, whiz ropes and Poes are kind of synonymous.
I love killing
Um,
those guys. They're great.
Yeah.
What a
Can we
game.
Can we talk about the armors and how awesome they are?
Oh yeah, hell yeah. But first, I want to ask you something. You
Yep.
mentioned dueling peaks. Did you do the 2 shrines on top of that mountain? Because goddamn.
I haven't yet. I just
Oh my god.
because the one thing that people forget is that you don't need to complete the shrine to get the fast travel point.
That's true. You just
All you need
activate
to
the
do is
shrine,
activate them, and then you get the fast travel point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in the LP specifically, I just got the shrine, and then when I'm gonna do cleanup is when I'm gonna go do the shrines, and I'm gonna go do the Korok seeds. But like right now, I'm just focusing on exploring the world and finding things,
Absolutely.
and then progressing. Because like I had to balance, because recording sessions are like 90 minutes, so I have 90 minutes to do Zelda things.
hmm
Like I think in the session I recorded and I'm currently editing, I tamed a horse.
Very nice.
Which horse taming is awesome. I love
Yeah.
it. I think it's
I love
really
feeding
cool.
them apples. It's great.
Yeah, I haven't done that actually. I fed a dog an apple and that was awesome because I didn't expect that you could feed dogs.
Personally, I like giving the dogs raw chicken. They love it.
Yeah.
I felt super bad because I was like, it was in the middle of the recording actually because I was like feeding a dog an apple and I was like, oh cool, I fed him an apple, and then I started walking away to go tame a horse because I wanted to get a horse, and the dog started following me. I was like, no, don't do this.
The only bad thing is you can't pet or pick them up.
I know it's sad.
it's
They're
like you
they're all border collies too, which is weird.
Yeah.
Like there's no diversity in animal species.
Well, I think there are diversities in like color and pattern. Have you seen
There
that?
are, but like they're all border collies.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of weird.
I would have loved to have seen like a Great Dane or
Oh,
like
that would have been awesome.
like one of those tiny little like those tiny little dogs that you see racing in Majora's Mask. I would have liked to have seen a couple of.
And Connor made a good point. Despite the fact that you can't pet them or anything, there's so many adorable animations. Like they'll chase their tail, they'll like sneeze, and that, and like
Yeah.
it's great.
The animation, if anything, because I also found out that Breath of the Wild has mocap.
Really?
Yeah, they have.
Oh
they have
god,
mocap.
not the dog.
Are the dogs mocapped? Is Noah's
I
dog
don't
trying
know.
to say
They had a team of they list in the credits 4 people did mocap. So I'm guessing that they did it specifically for the cutscenes, but
Probably.
can't deny that. I mean, because there's also the fact that they probably recorded footage of animals doing certain things so that they could like more accurately animate. Because the animation in Breath of the Wild is superb. Like it's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Like
The deer and horses look amazing.
the only reason that I think the horses don't look quite right is because I'm comparing it to another game with horse riding, which is
Barbie
Red Dead
horse
Redemption.
riding? Oh.
Yes, Connor, totally. But no, Red Dead Redemption, I compare it to, but it's not fair because Red Dead Redemption, despite being incredibly difficult, did mocap on horses.
Wow, nice.
So I mean, it is not a fair comparison. But like, all things considered, the animation is superb.
Mm-hmm. Also, sound. Okay, you mentioned armor. I want to go back to that.
Mm-hmm.
Just because like I don't have too many sets, but I got like this barbarian like suit, and it's just the designs are amazing.
Yeah,
like I've seen
getting the full sets of armor looks great. And the funny thing is that I know exactly what this is going to be. I know exactly what this game is going to turn out to be for a lot of people. Just like any other MMO, or just like Dark Souls, it's going to become Fashion of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
Like people are going to mix and match outfits, and they're going to dye certain gear just to get it right. And it's going to be cool.
The one for me, I think the coolest outfit I've seen is like that Gerudo outfit where Link very much looks like a girl.
Yeah,
I love that outfit so much.
And it's also on top of the animation thing too, where it cuts to him putting on the Gerudo gear, and he like blushes. Yeah, it's like super. It's so natural.
Yeah,
like everything about the animation in Breath of the Wild is extremely natural, and everything about the way physics looks and feels is entirely natural. Like the way that arrows feel is right.
Also, the fact that like you can pick. I mean, I think you could maybe do this in past Zelda games, but what I love is enemies shooting arrows at me. I just kind of run in circles around them and pick up their arrows as they shoot them at me. It's great.
That you stop being able to pick them up after 2 arrows.
Oh, I've
like if you can kill certain enemies.
Wait, is there a difference if they're on horseback? Because I've been able to pick up more than 2 arrows.
It might be different on horseback. The difference is that if you defeat those enemies before they detect you, you can pick up bundles of 5.
Oh yeah.
So it's like I didn't know that early on. So like I do have a decent supply of arrows right now, and even though like arrows were extremely scarce in my first playthrough. Can we talk real quick about how they thought of everything?
Can we talk about headshots and how good they are? The sound effects?
Yeah, they thought of literally everything.
Yeah.
You know how goblin camps occasionally have those skull houses?
Yeah.
That have the lanterns in them?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They can shoot down and blow up the entire room.
It's great.
Can we talk about how wind direction affects your flight pattern? And how if you're near a torch, if there is wind, it actually affects the physics of fire.
The blow, yeah. Apparently, look, I don't want to spoil anything, but apparently some of what you just said comes into play in the Lost Woods.
Yeah, it does. It does.
I haven't been there yet, but I've heard things. So
I did the Lost Woods,
and
it is so good. Like they did a lot of awesome stuff.
So the Lost Woods is kind of split into 2 parts. I'm gonna avoid spoilers as much as I can. The first part, it's not different parts, but like
sections.
Yeah, like there's
branches,
kind of 2 puzzles.
Yeah.
So the first puzzle is pretty easy to figure out, and while they get a little tougher later, it's still fine. But the second part, I could not figure out at all. I ended up looking up a guide because I wanted to know like what to look for.
Right.
Are you talking about the trees?
Yeah.
They tell you, the guy actually gives you a hint head on. It's like, look out for this certain thing, and it's like, okay.
Well, when I looked at the guide, he like made it to that part and said, so I don't actually know what the what you're looking for here. However, follow this pattern. And then it's just like, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna follow him. I'm tired of wandering into fog.
You know what the trick is?
No.
Magnesis or stasis.
What?
It illuminates what you're looking for, and you just have to follow
Oh,
the illuminations.
wow.
That's the one thing that I didn't catch on with really early on is magnesis is one of the greatest things ever in video games. Because there are certain things that I didn't think about. So like there's a quest where you have to find a certain thing, and I'm like, okay, things travel downstream, so I'll just go all the way downstream and maybe I'll find it on my way through. And then as it turns out, it was stupidly simple. I was overthinking it for once. That it was just like, oh yeah, use magnesis in a certain area and look around.
Yep. Also, the fact that you can stasis lasers is amazing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Doesn't really make sense, but it's cool, I guess.
The fact that you can parry lasers is awesome too.
Yeah. Oh, you can parry. I mean, I know you can parry guardian lasers, but are you talking about like laser blocks?
Oh no. Yeah,
Okay.
guardian lasers you can shield parry.
Yeah, right.
We just say
Shield
stuff
surfing.
like, I don't
Oh
like
my god,
that.
so good. Oh my god.
Shield surfing is the greatest thing ever.
The only thing that's disappointed me is that I can't detonate a bomb while shield surfing because I was planning to do the iconic,
But you know what you can do that imitates that?
what can you do?
Stasis a flat object,
Mm-hmm.
like a door, like a
Right.
door piece. Swing it until that arrow turns red, and stand on it.
Oh yeah, that I am. I've seen great, and I don't know if you saw the video of the dude riding the log in a similar
Oh, yeah,
fashion. Yeah, that is
No,
so
you can do
good.
that with just about everything. Boulders is the one thing where it gets a little bit finicky, but
Mhm.
you can do so much. They thought of everything.
Oh.
It's so awesome. Because like I never thought I'd get to play an overworld game where the answer to can I is yes.
Yeah, it feels like. Oh, and oh my god! Don't even get me started on the rafts. The only thing that's disappointing me with the rafts is that I can't make it really go flying with bombs because it doesn't necessarily pick up stasis energy very well. Maybe there's a better way.
Coral cleaves.
Oh well, no, I know you can move the boat with the coral cleat, but I'm saying like stasis.
Okay, magnesis.
Oh yeah. Oh that I know. That I've done. And what's actually really nice, I've used a treasure chest for that, which is easier because
Oh,
it's
yeah, yeah,
smaller. Yeah.
I mean, you can also find them pretty easily.
Right.
You can just find them as you're traveling down the lake. It's super cool that they hide. They've hidden literally hundreds, if not thousands, of these things everywhere.
Right. And some
all
of them
you need to do is
you will,
make
and
is
some
find 'em.
many of them you will never see, but that's fine.
Yeah,
When you find them, it's awesome.
because all they have in them is like ore or
Right.
rupees. It's like minimal reward for exploring. It's super
Uh-huh.
cool. All right, enough of the awesome stuff because there's a lot of awesome stuff.
Mhm.
Let's talk about the stuff that is stupid
Yay. Okay.
because rain
I mean-
is the worst thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
Now. Okay. So
I think thunderstorms are cool, like because there is a bit of strategy behind thunderstorms. You can tell when thunderstorms are going to happen.
Right.
But rain is just spontaneous, and it can happen in the middle of climbing like a 10-minute mountain,
Mhm.
and then
Oh.
you're screwed because
Yeah,
if you want to wait until
the rain
rain
passes.
passes, you have to either wait on a cliff face, or if you're really lucky and you stood on like a really flat piece of ground,
Mhm.
you could, in theory, make a fire to pass time. But
Mhm.
guess what? The rain's gonna extinguish it.
Right. Now, here's what this is just what I've heard. I haven't tried this. I've heard that the best scenario for rain is find a big tree, and if you light a fire under that, it'll stay lit longer.
Okay,
Allowing you
fair enough.
to.
But there's not a whole lot of trees on the side of a mountain.
That's true. That is very true.
So it's like rain is like the worst thing because you can't like predict it. And the only time you can predict it is when you're going towards one of the main villages.
Right.
Because like it's a forced thing until you deal with a certain
do a
quest.
thing. Yeah.
I mean, technically, there is a prediction if you have the hot on
That's
Yeah.
true.
because it gives you the next.
It does give you the
three-
weather. It gives you the next
weather.
3 hours. Yeah.
What would be nice is if you could play with the interface such that like, okay, maybe if you only want to have hearts in the weather, or you only
Yeah.
want to have hearts in your temperature.
I wouldn't mind having the weather on.
Yeah.
Because that's like a really good.
If I could have weather and what time of day it was, that would be splendid.
But I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Oh yeah, no, it's not. It's not.
But like specifically rain is just terrible.
Mhm.
Like because thunderstorms are cool, and you can tell because you see the clouds coming in.
Yeah.
Same with rain in a way, but it's hard to tell rain from overcast. But thunderstorms are much more like dark, ominous kind of things. So like thunderstorms are cool because you know it's going to rain and you know to take off steel stuff. But in the middle of a climb, you can't. As far as I know, there's no equipment that circumvents slipping during rainfall.
I'm not sure. I feel like I've heard rumblings, but I can't say I'm positive. It would be nice if there is, but
if you can like max out because I know that there's climbing gear armor.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if maxing that out makes it so that you don't slip.
That'd be
so
nice.
like this is from current experience of 100 hours of gameplay and not getting the full climbing gear set. So like it's possible that there is something that stops you from slipping, but if in 100 hours I didn't get a chance to find something that did, then it's going to be a problem that plagues you for a very long time unless you look up a guide and more specifically find it first.
Mm-hmm.
The other complaint is the game doesn't convey certain things well enough that you should learn certain things. Like I didn't know at first that all places like stables and towns have a shrine in them that allows you to fast travel to them. And more or less, and more often than not, those shrines have key information that you want to learn. Like the shrine in Kakariko Village tells you about dodging.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember. And the one in I think Hateno like teaches you some combat skills. So it's like
it teaches you about perfect parries or perfect strikes, or perfect dodges.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and another one is when you go to the Goron location,
mm-hmm.
when you go to Eldin, it's super hot, so you're not going to survive there at all. Right. Turns out, if you follow the road and you go to a stable there's just a person that gives you the potions that let you walk through there without catching fire. Like, how was I supposed to know that? And unless I walked down the certain road, but I made a beeline straight from the Rito to Goron.
And does the do you know if heat resistant armor allows you to avoid catching flame?
Yeah, no, not heat resistant. When you're going to Goron City, you actually do meet up with a person that's just like, hey, get me these things and I'll give you a helmet that lets you not catch fire. So you can get the potions.
Nice.
So it's like, but yeah, you're like there's like no real way you could have known. That said, it's awesome that there's a mechanic like that in there because I find it really cool that it's like, oh, I need health restoring items. Hold on, I have a bunch of raw meat. Plop. Just catches fire and cooks. Cool.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah. Food. Cool.
Oh, the cooking. Okay.
Yeah, cooking.
Cooking is okay. So pros and cons of cooking. Cooking, one, the animations are great. It looks delicious. It just looks really good.
Yeah, I had a point where I started cooking in Breath of the Wild, and I was like, oh, okay, I need to go make food like right now. Because I didn't eat. I was playing on like all nighting it. Yeah. Yeah. Con. Why can't it just be like, would you like to cook? Yes. What would you like to cook? It's like these things. I don't want to have to like go into my inventory and hold these items in order to cook.
So you're saying you wish you could pick recipes that you've previously made? No.
I just wish that it was an option to do at
instead of just sit.
Instead of using it as sit and wait by fire, I wish that there was an option of sit or cook.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Instead of like having to hold the items first and then put them in the cooking pot. That said,
inventory.
You can organize it.
How?
Yeah, if you press Y,
hit Y. Sort. Armor sorts two different ways. It sorts by set and type of armor. So it'll sort by like helmet, torso, leggings, or it'll sort by set.
Well, armor's fine. I don't care about armor, but it's annoying scrolling through my cooking stuff.
And you can sort food by.
It does it by like fruits, flowers, meats, that kind of thing.
It's sorted by. I think. It's sorted by healing. Actually, it sorts by do these items heal? Do these items heal by default, or if they're ingredients? So, like, if the items heal, then you see them first, and then it goes ingredients, and then it goes ore, and then it goes miscellaneous.
Monster parts, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I found out. That's what I found out on my own. That's like the really good thing is there should be conveyance. There should be a lack of conveyance in games to allow the player to discover them themselves, because discovering things is the best part about adventure games like this. The problem is that Breath of the Wild doesn't know what and what not to convey.
Uh-huh.
And
For instance,
the
sorry,
problem comes from what it doesn't convey. It doesn't convey the nuances of combat. It doesn't convey that you might want to do certain things. Like, I probably would have had less of an issue with the whole catching fire thing in Elden if there was somebody in Elden Tower being like, "Whew, I'm really glad that I went to the stable to get these fireproof potions." Then I would have been like, "Oh, okay, so I should probably go there first instead of coming back here." But like, there's no way I would have known unless I Googled it.
Also, this is just a random question. You guys might or might not know. Do you know if Mipha's ability is prioritized over fairies or vice versa?
Mipha's prioritized.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mipha's prioritized.
Cool. Good to know. I wish you could like temporarily disable fairies, because sometimes I don't want to waste them on measly enemies, but it's not a big deal. I just gotta play smarter.
I mean, fairies are fairies. Like,
You could just load your save.
That's it.
Yeah. There are also instances of combat where you kind of don't know what to expect, which is cool. Like, I like the idea of going into a battle without knowing the end result. My problem comes from the fact that you're kind of expected to go in fully prepared, even for small combat scenarios.
Yeah.
Which is fine in a lot of ways. But in this instance, it's not really that good, because if I go into a combat scenario and there's an enemy whose attack rating on their weapons far surpasses the defense rating I have on my armor, then I'm going to get absolutely bodied. And I experienced this with Blue Book Goblins. Because Blue Book Goblins are in certain groups of Red Book Goblins, and they always have spiked Boko clubs, which are like triple the attack rating of Boko clubs. So like, Bokoblins will deal like, a quarter of a heart of damage to me or something. I was like, nice. And then I'll get slammed by this Blue Bokoblin and like go down to half a heart. I'm like, what? Okay. But it's just a matter of something not being conveyed well enough to allow you to figure out the situation yourself. Like, it's one of those things too where you only have to learn that mistake once, and that's fine. Like, I'm perfectly fine with learning a mistake once.
Right.
And Breath of the Wild is rife with that too, where I'm perfectly fine with learning how to solve something once. The other issue I had is why is the closest dungeon the hardest one?
Which is the closest?
The Zora one. The closest dungeon.
I didn't think it was too hard.
No. The setup for getting to the dungeon is the hardest one.
Oh yeah. Well, in what? Okay. Are you referencing Lionel?
Well, several things. Okay. So, getting to it
is hard.
Because it's always raining.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just circumnavigate past all of the Lizalfos and everything.
Also, the electric geese absolutely decimated me.
Yeah, it's just a problem to get there. It's the hardest thing. And like, you can't climb mountains because it's always raining, so you're always going to slip, and the mountains are always near streams, so if you run out of stamina while climbing mountains, you're going to drown. And then you get to the part where it's like, oh yeah, here's all the things you have to do. It's like, go get 20 shock arrows up in this mountain. Oh, there's a Lionel there. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, I can avoid the Lionel. It's fine. But the problem is that if you didn't buy the stealth gear in Kakariko Village, then it's going to be a bitch to get past the Lionel, because he's going to see you all the time.
I guess that really varies on player. Like, I didn't buy the stealth gear.
I didn't buy the stealth gear either, so I died like 4 or 5 times at the Lionel.
And so with my encounters, my first instinct was like, okay, I'm going to destroy this guy. But then I realized he was going to kill me in 0.5 seconds. So I thought maybe I should find a better strategy. Ultimately, though, I was able to sneak around and get all 20 on my second try without a
It took
problem.
me like 5 or 6.
I mean, obviously, that'll vary from player to player.
I just
I'm not
bought them in the
discrediting your...
Gerudo village.
Yeah, that's true. You could do that too.
Yeah.
Which is why I say that you should probably do Mifa's dungeon second or fourth as well as the Gerudo one. It depends on which one.
Mm-hmm. So, from my standpoint, just advice for me. So I've done Mifa. Do you think I should hit Gerudo next?
You should definitely hit Gerudo next.
Okay. Luckily, I'm very close to it, so that shouldn't be hard.
Because the ability you get from Gerudo makes certain things a lot easier.
I've heard that it is very strong.
It's a very strong ability, yes. It lets you deal with mini bosses pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. The issue with the setup for the Zora dungeon, though, is that all of the steps are, if you make a mistake, then you're just done. And you have to like set it, you have to like prepare for another setup. Which is fine because, you know, it took me a while to get to the idea of having to follow the trail to the Zora thing, which I guess I should have taken note of for the Elden area in hindsight. Hindsight's 2020. Taking the route to the Zora is hard. Getting the shock arrows for the setup is hard. And then doing the section where you have to shoot shock arrows to disable the divine beast is hard because you can't waste your shock arrows on when it's shooting blocks at you. You have to use regular arrows, and when you run out of regular arrows, you have to resort to whatever arrows you have.
I'm about to blow your mind.
Cryonosis.
You can break them with Cryonosis.
You can?
Yep.
Yeah.
What?
It's awesome.
I didn't even know you could use arrows. I was always using that.
Well, what's funny? This is amazing for sharing these
Why didn't I think of
that? At first, I tried using my sword, and I'm like, shit, this is impossible. The timing is so small. It's like a 5-frame window.
Why didn't I think of that?
Then I tried using my arrows. I'm like, oh, these are running out pretty quickly. And then I'm like, wait a second. I can use my Cryonosis to use essentially a pickaxe on existing ice blocks. Can I do that for these? Sure enough, it's so easy.
Yeah.
Why didn't I think of that?
That same skill can be applied to the boss. It's great.
Why didn't I think of that?
Now you know.
God, it's so easy.
Yeah.
Why didn't I think of that? Oh God, I'm an idiot.
Also, the waterfall swimming is just totally badass.
The waterfall swimming is awesome. Like that's the one thing I'm perfectly fine with. Yeah, that's the thing about hindsight being 2020. Also, it's a proof of the fact that there are a million ways you can go about playing Wild, and all of them are correct.
There's no one right way. Yeah. I have a video about that. I haven't uploaded it yet, but I'll get to it.
Like
I'd argue
like
that,
all of the faults that I have with Zelda Breath of the Wild are all like blocked out by the fact that there really is no right way of doing things. Mm-hmm. And there are a million ways you can do them, and that's like the beauty of Breath of the Wild is that even in my second playthrough, I'm doing everything differently. And I think if I play another time on a different account, just
hard mode, baby.
Yeah, if I play on hard mode or anything, then I'm going to do it a different way, and I'm going to keep playing it differently. And that's a beautiful thing to have like a thought about, is the fact that I'm not going to be trying the same thing a million times and expect a different result. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be trying.
Are going to be doing different things.
Expecting a different result.
Great game.
So I mean, that's the thing. That's why Breath of the Wild is my favorite game.
Mm-hmm. Now, I had some tweets yesterday. I wasn't complaining, but I had an interesting, almost an epiphany with Breath of the Wild in that I've been loving. I think the combat, puzzles, and exploration are the best the series has ever seen, bar none. Mm-hmm. But
puzzles?
What's that?
Motion control puzzles?
Except for those.
Yeah, those are the worst.
Yeah, that's worse than any other puzzle in Zelda history.
But that's worse than bomb rolling in Skyward Sword.
Yeah, they're really bad. Yeah. I was able to get through that.
Puzzle was kind of cool until I had to like turn the gamepad 180 to swing.
It's just annoying.
Yeah. If you thought that Switch motion controls were bad, how about having it connected to the gamepad?
Also, I wonder if using what happens if you're using the Wii U Pro controller?
I don't know.
You can't do them.
Really?
Yeah. Same with if you're using the Wii Remote and Nunchuck, you can't do them.
Wow.
Can you play
Wait,
Breath of the
what?
Wild with Wii Remote Nunchuck?
It's on the back of the box, I assume so.
Whoa. That's
Really?
badass.
I read because I read the guide, like the digital guide, and it only said it had support for Pro Controller and gamepad.
I don't own the Wii U version, but I'm pretty sure I've seen pictures of the back that have a Wii Remote Nunchuck on them.
You gotta try that. That sounds
Try.
awesome.
I'll give it a try.
So yeah.
Actually, no, I know it
anyway.
doesn't work because I tried turning on my controller. Actually, no, I'll try it again.
Anyway, so what I was getting to is essentially that it felt like something was missing, like some piece of Zelda. I think what I've realized now is that I was missing the story, but ultimately it seems like that's because I've just been doing so much non-story stuff.
Yeah, a lot of the story is contained in what you do in the main quests.
Right. So I think if
I
pursue
mean,
more
at
of
the
that,
same time, a lot of the story is also contained in exploring. Like you'll
totally.
find memories.
Side quests, memories, absolutely. I have so many unique stories. Just now we were talking about how we got into the Zora dungeon. We had completely different ways of doing it.
Yeah, I experienced the GIF. I experienced the GIF, which is a story in and of itself. While I was recording, you can find the video on my Twitter, by the way. I was recording the first episode of the LP, like the first session.
You're right.
And I was like, okay, well, I got to get to the Temple of Time. So I'll just shield surf my way over. The moment I shield surf and plop onto the ground, my shield explodes. I start tumbling. I'm like, could you stop? And then I roll off a cliff and die. Great.
A similar thing happened to me. I was by what's the name of the snowy mountain on the Great Plateau? What's that?
Snowy Mountain on the Great Plateau. That is.
I feel like it's an iconic location, like
Mount
in terms
Hylian?
of. Yeah, that's it. I think. So anyway, I'm around that area, and I try to shield surf down. When you're going towards the mountain, but you're not on it. I tried shield surfing down one of those rocky faces.
Yeah.
And my shield broke, and I was sent careening into the freezing cold water and drowned.
Yeah, I experienced that too in the LP. That's the thing I didn't post on Twitter. That's part of the LP that I'm saving, but I'll tell you guys because it's funny. There's that steel door that was used as a bridge in the freezing water stream just down the path from where you get Cryonis.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, I'm going to use stasis to knock this up so I can just kind of use this as a sailing way to get across the stream. I didn't do it enough, and instead it gets knocked downwards, and then it just spring launches me up, and I start ragdolling, and I'm left with a quarter of a heart. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is a problem. Sploosh into the freezing water, and I die instantly.
Nice.
There's so many things that an open world game should do, and the thing about what Zelda's doing is it's fantastically allowing players to create a story.
Yeah.
Like the thing about Skyrim that I found amazing is that people were able to create stories from nothing, and that's what always intrigued me about Skyrim, is that it's a game about doing something with a world about nothing, and people were able to make these amazing stories about what they were able to do. Which is why Breath of the Wild is interesting to me, because I was finally able to experience that firsthand. It was a game I knew nothing about going in. I knew very little about the game mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just learning as I went along. And all these things were unfolding in front of me. Like, it was like that gif of Zach Galifianakis and like all those like algebra and chemistry formulas appearing in front of him, and it was like forming in his head as he was solving this. Like, that was the game to me. It's like things were starting to click piece by piece until I had like this giant like 10,000 piece puzzle solved, and like I'm still missing a few of the corner pieces because like there's some things I just don't quite understand yet. But I mean, that's Breath of the Wild in a nutshell. It's a game about making a story with your own experience, and it's why it's my favorite Zelda game of all time, because I've explained why Ocarina of Time 3D is like my least favorite Zelda game of all time. It's because I've spent 20 years hearing about Ocarina of Time being the greatest game of all time. I've spent 20 years hearing that, and I mean, I've dabbled in it. I've played the GameCube Collector's Edition release on my time before, and like I never fully finished it, and like that experience was nice. But the first time I ever got to experience Ocarina of Time in full was the 3DS release. I was like, okay, cool, extra item slots, that's great, that's one of my complaints solved. Why is this game glitchier why does this game feel like a glorified version of the N64 version? I thought this was going to be the definitive. Why are all these things improved upon but still feel more archaic? And the problem is that the game is pandered towards people who have been playing the game for a very long time. And all of the issues that I would have had with the N64 version that would have made sense, I instead was applying to a 3DS version, a game which should have felt like a 2011 game and not a 1998 game. And that just ruined the game for me. I still think to this day that the best version of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask is the GameCube release. If you can get the Virtual Console release, that's just as good, because that's basically an emulated version of the GameCube version. But I think Ocarina of Time 3D is the worst because it was proof that Ocarina of Time is just a game that is historically good. But if you try to reapply what it did to just a new format and a new system, then it's going to fail, because the game does not hold up to today's standards of world and game design. It holds up to 1998 game design. And that is why I think Ocarina of Time is best it held in N64 and GameCube era, because it's fantastic in N64 and GameCube era. But I still got to feel that mystique in Breath of the Wild, because that was my Ocarina of Time. It's what Ocarina of Time was to a lot of people in 1998. It was this giant world with a whole lot of stuff to do, and now it's just brought to this epic scale. So Breath of the Wild is my favorite Zelda game now.
Heck yeah. I'm not sure if I'm at that point yet, but I sure love it. And I probably will know by the time I beat it. So
yeah. I mean, it also helps that the characters I learned to enjoy, even though, because I got to that point where I was sitting after beating the game and I was like, my one regret in life is that I never got to know these characters. Because that's the sad thing about experiencing these characters, is that you only get to know them from memories. And you don't get to know them. Like, you never got to know what it was like to be with them on a daily basis. You only got to know fragments of what they were like. And that's what bugged me out.
I think that's like part of like the almost the tragic nature of the game, you know?
Yeah, it's a huge tragedy, because Mipha's the best character.
I don't know, man, that voice.
Yeah, that voice is beautiful.
I'm gonna have to go with I haven't met her yet, but what's the Gerudo girl's name?
Which one, the champion or the current leader?
Champion.
The champion, I think.
Okay. Well, kid or adult?
Adult.
I couldn't tell you. I don't know. Probably adult, I hope.
It's really obvious.
It's the adult. It's the adult.
Okay. I haven't seen her in game yet, but I've seen plenty of pictures. And
if you're talking
it's the adult.
It's definitely
yeah.
It's something like, I think it starts with either I think it might start with a D. I'm not too sure, or an M.
Okay.
The one thing I do note is that I kind of know where the game takes place historically. Based on how many references they make to Ocarina of Time, I think this takes place like 10,000 years after Ocarina of Time.
I think it's after Wind Waker.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of references to Skyward Sword and Wind Waker.
Yeah, references to all of them. That's the tough part.
Yeah, there are locational references to everything.
Do we know how long after Ocarina of Time Wind Waker takes place?
No.
So I think, because they mentioned two things. One is 100 years ago when Link fails, and one is, or not fails, but all the champions get sealed away and all that. And then one is 10,000 years ago. I think Ocarina of Time's 10,000 and Wind Waker's 100, but Link fails, so it's another split now.
Yeah.
Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, Link succeeds, but
actually no. I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what you mean, because the thing about the Divine Beast in Zora is that if you were to fail in stopping the Divine Beast, then it would have flooded Hyrule. and they actually tell you that if you were to fail it, then like
And like
the dam would have burst and like the entire region would have been flooded.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
there's
so-
one area that looks almost exactly like an area in Wind Waker. I want to avoid.
It's kind of weird actually. I
what
think
it
I
is.
think a lot of divine beasts actually correlate with certain if Link failed in this kind of thing. Because if Link failed with the divine beast, then I'm pretty sure that would set the pace for Wind Waker. But I can't tell what would have. I can't tell what. I mean, maybe Spirit Tracks if the Goron thing didn't work out. I'm not too sure actually. But
Maybe
the point being is
the
that
Zora one could just be a coincidence. I don't know.
But the point being is that the reason why I think it's 10,000 years after Ocarina of Time is because one of the divine beasts they say specifically is named after Nabooru,
Hmm.
which of course is the Gerudo one.
They also say that one in Zora, that's what you call it? Yeah, Ruta was named after Ruto. So
Yeah, the divine beast. There was something named after Darunia
Mhm.
in the Goron city. I think it was actually one of the characters.
Good,
but
the best Goron.
Yeah.
Also, I think I asked this before, but neither. Actually, I think it was only Noah on that time. So maybe you know. Has there ever been a female Goron before Breath of the Wild?
I don't think so.
Or are they all either male or no confirmed gender?
I think the gender was always ambiguous.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
It was hinted that there were female Gorons, yes. But I think
they always seemed
Gorons
male
were
to
always-
me, but yeah.
I think the design of Gorons initially were gender ambiguous.
Yeah, because it's just like like there are for sure male Gorons like Darunia.
Yeah.
And Zoras we see male and female of.
Yeah.
Ritos we see male and female
Yeah.
of. Gerudos are confirmed to only be female
Yeah.
aside from the one male.
They actually exiled him.
Yeah. I want to know what happens when another male.
I think it's actually pretty cool to see like a civilized version of Gerudo. Because like we didn't get to see how they they were always kind of like
same with seeing the Sheikah village, like in Kakariko. Like we've never really seen that before, right?
Yeah. Actually in a way it's a blend between what we see in Kakariko and the clan that we meet in Gerudo. That is actually kind of a basis of Sheikah. Like it's a blend between the two. That basically like the two types of Sheikah kind of split off, and that's what we see.
Nice.
That's what I assume, anyways. I have to think about this one too. Also, the Rito seem to have evolved as well from Wind Waker.
Yeah, they certainly look quite
they're
different.
evolved Zoras.
Yeah.
So
I mean, more like their body type is more assumed as like a falcon in Breath of the Wild, but like in Wind Waker, I always assumed that they were like hawks or seagulls.
They certainly look a bit more menacing now.
Yeah, I think the design. If there's anything, like I said, there's everything visually and aesthetically about Breath of the Wild is what I love. The minimal UI is top tier because I love minimal UI. And just the design in general. Like if there's one takeaway, because I also hate Skyward Sword. If there was one thing that I wanted to see more of from Skyward Sword, it was the graphics, because the graphics were like the one thing I didn't have complaints with. Breath of the Wild took everything about Skyward Sword's aesthetic, like graphically, and put it into a giant open world game. Yes,
absolutely. I mean, for me, all the character designs are great, but for me specifically, Doritos just look so cool.
Yeah,
like something about their design is just really incredible.
I absolutely adore the diversity in Zora. Because like the Zora were initially like this kind of like half squid, half shark kind of thing going on with the original design of Zora, but now it's like this huge diversity of like sharks.
You have like a hammerhead shark looking guy.
Yeah, you have like a hammerhead shark, and then you have best guy. You have Husbando. the prince Husbando. It's great. Like, I love all the character designs. Also, I think the worst character design is actually Impa. If
Yeah.
anything, like that's still like
Yeah.
that's like
I've
the
heard,
lowest.
I've heard her
Like that's
compared
the
to
lowest
I've
of.
heard her compared to like a Miyazaki character.
Yeah, that's true. She is a
Yeah.
very Miyazaki character.
Yeah.
Like all these characters have this very diverse look to them, and then she is like straight up like, I'm from My Neighbor Totoro.
Yeah.
But yeah, like she's like the worst one out of like she's not even that bad. She's like still pretty good, but she's still like one of the most underwhelming designs. Because she's like, I'm on top of 3 pillows and next to a glowing ball. Like, cool. Her importance is also so low in comparison to what Impa was in other games. Her job is to say words to you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like she's just like, your quest is not over until you remember everything. And also, my job is to tell you a 5-word sentence that the princess told me to tell you. It's like, great, cool. Who's the next person I have to tell you? You know, a person that is about as old as you are, but an experiment went wrong and now she's a kid. Like, oh, that's actually better. Cool. You, I'm off. You'll have to censor that. That's like my first major swear, actually. I'm proud of myself. And now it's like 2 hours into a podcast. I'm cool. Yeah, like I don't know. It's a lot of like all the character designs are awesome, but there's a lot of like really good. And it's, you know, I just love everything about Breath of the Wild. Even with all the flaws I have with it, it's still like my favorite game. I don't know if it's going to compete at all with Resident Evil 7 though. I'm not too sure. Cuz like it's also interesting to go from one of my favorite survival horror games to one of my favorite adventure open world games.
Drastically different.
Yeah, drastically different genres. Yeah. I mean, it's also going to be something I have to return to once I'm done with Destiny, because the final update is coming out in a few days. And it's like, that's something I've spent 3 years on. So it's like, well, okay, it was good while it lasted. But now I have Breath of the Wild and help. I have 100 hours in it, and I still have to record the LP, so that's going to be like another 200 hours.
Nice. Good stuff.
It's going to be another 200 hours of recording that LP, so. Because I'm planning on doing all quests for that.
Oh god.
But if people want me to, I'll do 100%.
Oh, don't do that to yourself, man. The Korok seeds.
Do it.
I have a map. I have a map for cleanup specifically.
All right.
So like I have a map of everything in the game. Like I have a map of all the shrines, all the stuff. But like I'm only using it for cleanup. I'm not looking at it directly when I'm recording the LP. If I find things on my own, that's awesome. That just means that I have to find which ones I did and didn't do on the map. So I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It's also a new project, and I'm always happy to do new projects. So yeah.
I think that's it for Zelda. That was a lot of Zelda talk. That was probably like 40 minutes.
40 minutes of Zelda.
Yeah.
So, 2 things to add.
Cool.
Well, actually, one, I just realized that I'm pretty sure last episode I said I was done playing Zelda, and then all of a sudden this episode I'm like, yeah, I'm playing Zelda. So the reason I went back is because Noah gave me some tips on how to beat that boss, and I beat him. And I've applied those tips to the other bosses, and it's fine now. But anyway, I don't like how the Guardians are either like I've actually never tried beating them with anything other than the ancient arrows, but I don't like how they're one-shotted by the ancient arrows. I wish it was like a little harder to beat them, because
well, I actually know a good way to combat them without arrows.
Potlet.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, you can interrupt their laser beams if they're moving ones. I mean, if they're moving guardians, like not disabled ones, you can actually sever their legs.
Oh. And
if you sever their legs, it has the same animation as if a weapon broke, so it interrupts their laser animation. And if you sever enough of them, then they if you sever like one side, then they don't have any traction whatsoever. So if you like push them off with something forceful, then they just tumble off of the cliff.
Oh my God. Wait, so can you in theory get rid of all of their legs?
Yeah, you can. And then they work just the same as
the ones that are. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I mean, obviously, you still have to avoid them, but they're much easier to avoid.
Well, there are some that you just can't avoid.
Oh, right.
You can also take out the ones that you can also take them out with like boulders. If you like, especially like steel boulders, like ore boulders, you can take them out with magnesis.
Also, this is a very obscure complaint, but I'm sad that not magnesis, stasis for enemies doesn't actually send them flying. It just like does damage.
Aw.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to use it since I got that, and I was really excited to just.
Sorry. Yeah, it's underwhelming.
Flying.
Sorry for crushing your dreams.
Yeah. What you can still do though, I love swinging a metal box back and forth and just smashing them.
Yeah.
instead of dropping, I just swing them back and forth, big swoops. It's great.
I wish enemies had like enough metal on them, you could just pick them up.
Yes, I always wish the enemies who were holding metal weapons, you could just snag it out of their hands. That would be awesome. Or if an enemy, like you said, had like completely metal armor, like you could just pick them up.
Yeah, and throw them into the lake.
Yeah. Oh, well. That would be a little too overpowered, but oh well.
Oh well.
Everything in the game is overpowered.
They thought of just about everything though.
Huh?
They did think about just about everything though.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
And the other thing is, I don't know how many like of those shrine quests you guys have done where like someone tells you or a hint or something, and then when you complete it, you find a shrine. But some of those, like the entire puzzle for the shrine basically is figuring out what they meant.
Yeah.
And then once you get to the shrine, you instantly get the orb, basically.
Yeah, you just get a chest,
But then others, there's still a puzzle in them. And while I don't mind that, like there's one in the Rito village where you have to like find 5 kids.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
And one of the kids like won't go to singing practice until they get something to eat, and the rest are finding the ingredients for what they want. And you have to go run around the village, find them. And then once you get that, go back and they sing a song, and you have to like use a korok leaf to hit rocks in a certain order correlating to that song. But then you have to do a puzzle in the shrine after that. Whereas there's one where like there's some lady that planted flowers and doesn't want you stepping on the flowers.
That one's the best.
And all you have to do is make it through this pretty easy maze, and you get the orb instantly.
Well, to be fair, that's also like really close from the starting area. So, I mean,
I guess it is, but I just did it. So.
Right. Yeah. No.
That was one of my more recent shrines.
Yeah. That's true.
Connor, I agree. It is kind of strange that there's an inconsistency there, where some of them it's like, okay, you won, congrats, but some of them it's like, okay, here's another puzzle. But regardless,
I'm fine with it. Like, I mean, I was kind of surprised that there are shrines like that don't have a puzzle in them. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I personally kind of wish they still had puzzles, but at the same time, the shrine quests themselves are very fun, so I don't really mind too much.
I occasionally, there are some that I've found like super fun, not puzzle ones, like because I also like treasure hunt shrine quests. Like, you'll find a shrine if you face this direction after lining up these certain objects.
Yep, these trees on
these trees on top of the mountain. If you go after 3 become 1. Like, I love treasure hunt.
That has been my favorite one so far.
Yeah.
There's a similar one where you have to go in the afternoon to where the shrine thing is.
Oh yeah, like the tower the tower's a sundial. Yeah.
Yeah, and it points at the shrine, and while it's doing that, if you shoot an arrow at the sun, the shrine opens.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome. I love that one. Because it's not just because it just shows that some of the shrine designs were late in the game's development. Because you could develop shrines during a game's world design, but a lot of the things you had to like implement after finalizing the lighting system. Which that's true. Which, a lighting system in a giant world like this is really hard to fully implement. Like, it's not as easy as flipping a light switch.
Yeah, and it's a really good lighting system. Like, it doesn't You know,
it's natural and
Yeah.
it's consistent, which are two incredibly difficult things to do because it's really easy to have buildings have shadows, like dynamic lighting shadows, because that's baked. Like you can bake dynamic lighting.
Yeah.
But to have persistent dynamic lighting on a character model is really hard. Because you can't bake that.
Right, absolutely. I say we wrap it up.
I think we're done with Zelda Breath of the Wild. Though here's 10 more minutes of Breath of the Wild.
Oh well. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it much more in the future, but we definitely got a lot of thoughts out. So
in 2 more weeks, we'll be doing a spoiler cast.
I doubt it'll be done by then, but sure, why not?
You doubt you'll be done?
Oh, no way I'm going to be done by then. I just have too much to do.
All right. We're only going to do a spoiler cast after you 100% the game and then 100% hero mode.
In 2 weeks, I can probably at least finish all the main quests.
I mean, if I focus on story, I can. It's just I'm so focused on exploration that it's like, we'll see though.
I got to that point in the game where we're doing it again. Let's just end it.
Yeah.
We're starting to do it again. I have to stop this.
I just want 13 hearts before I do the Goron place.
Yeah.
Because
the current challenge I'm doing in the recording is I'm maxing out stamina first before I start adding heart containers. So like for most of the playthrough, I'm doing 3 hearts.
That sounds
hard. Yeah,
I would never do.
Yeah, it sounds like something I'm dumb enough to do. Like, oh, I don't know, a Blind Madhouse LP of Resident Evil 7 wearing VR. That LP is done, by the way. You can watch it. It's actually my best project.
No, I hope the next, probably not the next one, but so at AGDQ or 2018 SGDQ, I always have trouble with that one. I hope there's a Breath of the Wild speedrun where 2 people each hold 1 Joy-Con.
Oh god, that would be amazing, actually.
The fact that that's going to be possible now is awesome.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've done that with Zelda. I've done that. It's so great for the Binding of Isaac too.
Yeah. Breath of the PB and Jeff or Peanut Butter Gamer and
I watched that.
Space Hamster. They did that 2 Joy-Con thing with Eventide Island.
IGN is doing a series as well.
I want to do that too, but I don't have friends. Can one of you guys move to Oregon so like we can
just for that? Yeah,
just for
that series. It'll be worth it.
Bring your PS4 controllers because I want to play Wild Guns Reloaded with everyone.
No, make sure you bring your PS4 controller.
On it.
Yeah. When we do a meetup, because if there was any year where we would do a meetup, I think this year would be it.
I would hope so with the Switch.
Yeah, let's meet up in California during E3 week.
I have school that week. Sorry.
Oh well, you're also in Canada, so I think you need to pay for it. Yeah. It's fine.
So we should probably wrap.
Yeah, we should plug it up, as it were.
Okay, so plugs. There's actual plugs this week. Technically, neither of these reviews will be out when the podcast goes out, but they're both done and just waiting for the finales to air, making sure everything is correct. I think it will be. But Rewrite and Interviews with Monster Girls, those were 2 anime that aired, and you should read my review. And also, the Nonary Games collection released on Steam and Vita
and PS4.
And PS4. It's 999, 9 persons, 9 hours, 9 doors.
Yep. And Virtue's Last Reward.
And Virtue's Last Reward. Noah is a huge fan of that series. I will probably pick up this collection because I've wanted to get into it for a while, but I don't have an iPhone and the DS game's kind of hard to track down, so 999 was kind of hard to get into.
I never thought I would say this, but a VN basically defined my summer 2016. I just marathoned those games all summer, and it was totally worth it.
So yeah, I'll probably be picking this up too. And we wanted to plug it. I'll probably put Steam and the PlayStation Store links in the description, just because why not? And
I might do some kind of LP of those, or maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
Like BKLPs. And
That's
also,
Flash Fire, thank you. You just said nobody uses it.
hey, I used it a while ago.
Yeah, I think the last time. When was the last time we used the thing?
I know I did a NISA beta that they sent me a code for.
Oh yeah, I did a Flash Fire live of like 40 minutes of Resident Evil 7 in VR, and then I pussied out. I actually had a panic attack, so I couldn't play anymore.
Oh,
Yeah. Don't worry, I'm fine now. That game doesn't scare me anymore.
I'd hope you'd be fine now. It's how many months? Hope you're not still having a panic attack from
Yeah.
that one.
It's like that tagline that Resident Evil 5 had that it totally went back on. Fear you won't forget. Because I still, if we're talking about like that kind of thing, then Cry of Fear still affects me to this day, and I played it like 7 years ago. I still remember everything. But yeah, what else are we plugging?
That's it for pluggies.
The poll. Last week we asked, are you going to play the Splatoon test fire? Which at this point, I think, well, by the time this goes up, I think 3 of the things will have happened, and one's about to happen. 89% say yes, and 11% say no, with 35 votes. I'd wager those no's probably are mostly people without a Switch.
Yeah, we should have specified like if you have a Switch, but oh well.
Yeah, because like, I don't, unless you played Splatoon 1 and have no intention of ever touching the series again, I don't really see why you wouldn't try it if you're able to.
Right. Obviously, if you're away or something, yeah.
Yeah, or if you have class or sleeping or something during all the things, then so yeah, I'd say the 11% probably fall into those. We should have split those, like don't have a Switch and busy or don't want to play or something. And this week's poll, which are you most looking forward to, Sonic Mania or Sonic Forces? I think we had a similar poll back when these games were announced.
Oh wow. Well, we're back.
Except it had the other Sonic game that was upcoming. I think, wasn't there another one? Oh yeah, Sonic Boom. Fire and Ice. I don't know why we included that one, but we did. And also follow us on VidMe for all your VidMe related videos. Same video. And as YouTube, which you can also subscribe on iTunes and Google Play for the ability to listen to the podcast, download the podcast and listen to us without an internet connection. Follow us on Twitter. I am Double31.
I'm Dashy007.
I'm at Replay Tie Heretic.
Blazekick is Blazekick Tweet. Nintendo Unleashed is a dead account at Nin Unleashed.
You're not wrong. I failed that one.
Arms is Arms MXZ, and again, we didn't even mention that he's not here.
Oh.
It always seems to happen. We just don't even mention until we're plugging our Twitter. And visit blazekick.com for anime reviews. Bye.